Hi, welcome to Apryse's Fall 2024 release webinar, where we're going to go over all the exciting changes that took place in version 11 of our web and server SDK releases. My name's Conrad. I'm a product marketing manager here at Apryse, and I have over 3.5 years of experience working with this product and customers such as yourself. Myself and other product team experts are here today to answer any questions you might have in the chat box as this webinar is pre-recorded. So if you're unfamiliar with Apryse, let me tell you about us. We have over 25 years of experience in the document processing space, and we support developers in creating applications that require document processing components. This could be anything from a PDF viewer and annotator to a docx editor, file conversion, data extraction, document generation, and more. We support Fortune 100 companies all the way down to pre-revenue startups. And we're actually a portfolio of leaders within the space. As you can see this by this shiny graphic on the right-hand side of our screen here, we used to be called PDFtron. But through a lot of acquisition, you might recognize some of these names, such as iText and LeadTools, we became a better document processing company together. And we believe that our document processing technology makes your applications better as a result. We support platforms such as web, server, mobile, and desktop, but also if you're doing custom applications within an environment such as Salesforce or Appian, we support low-code platforms as well. So let's get into the release. The release highlights 4 different areas here. We have WebViewer now meeting global accessibility guidelines. We have this new PDF auto-tagging feature. Improvements to our scanning services, which is OCR and barcode extraction, which is brand new. And we have a refreshed form creation experience. So let's dive into accessibility. According to the World Health Organization, roughly 16% of the total global population, or 1.3 billion people, live with a significant disability. Remember, these are significant disabilities. These aren't people who have disabilities that don't prevent them from accessing spaces. But typically in physical spaces, we'll see various elements supporting them, such as building codes. You can't have a stairwell that doesn't have railings. You'll have signage that has Braille on it. You'll see wheelchair ramps, elevators. But it wasn't until recently that we started to see this trend of supporting accessibility within digital spaces as well. Enter the World Wide Web Consortium, or the W3C, with their Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. The World Wide Web Consortium is this global standards organization that advocates for accessibility of digital spaces. And their Web Content Accessibility Guidelines is exactly what it sounds like. Now, they have different levels. Here in the top left, you can see 2.1 AA. There's a 2.0, there's a AAA, there's a 2.2. But for the most part, WCAG 2.1 AA is the one that has been adopted most by worldwide regulations. And these digital accessibility guidelines support those that have various impairments, such as motor impairments, visual, auditory, sensory, of any sort, and more. So who's adopted these guidelines? Well, the USA has already adopted them with Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act. Canada has the Accessible Canada Act. And Europe already has adopted these, but in 2025, the European Accessibility Act is coming out. So let's talk about how that is in fact different and perhaps a game changer for digital applications. Well, the Accessible Canada Act and the Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act in the US, for the most part, only affects digital products and services that are in the public sector. Whereas with the European Accessibility Act, this is going to affect anyone who has business operations in Europe, not just if you're headquartered there, but if you have businesses, clients that you're servicing in Europe, this will likely affect you. So this affects airlines, SaaS products, digital entertainment, e-commerce platforms, healthcare, insurance, all of the big ones. And this is going to be a game-breaking change. Similar to how GDPR changed how every single business handles European company data, this is going to affect how accessibility for European customers is involved. If you breach these, the penalties are going to be fines and market exclusion, but these are going to vary country by country, depending on where you're operating, and are not quite clear yet. But you want to make sure that you're meeting these guidelines, I promise you that. So how does WebViewer version 11 meet these guidelines? Well, we've addressed the POUR principle, which is required by WCAG 2.1 AA. The four principles of web accessibility are shortened to POUR. The P stands for perceivable, O stands for operable, U stands for understandable, and R stands for robust. We've addressed these by enhancing keyboard navigation, screen reader support, and improved contrast ratios to meet the WCAG standards. We've also introduced a new modular UI, which is not part of this, that becomes default with WebViewer version 11, that allows you to reorient and recreate your UI using its modular components in a very easy way. So you can create a custom view that is tailored to your user's intended experience. So let's see what some of these changes look like here. As you can see in the search functionality here, this is the new UI represented. The pop-outs are our old UI. In the new one here, it now says multi-select pages above this box here in this panel. Previously, we had this inappropriately contrasted light gray description within the search. We have these new contrasted thumbnails here. Here you can see the outlines thumbnail. In the previous version, it had this light gray backdrop. Our new toolbar panel up here doesn't have this light gray behind it. Instead, it has this darker, more expressed dark blue. We have this refreshed set of icons. Document searches uses the global standard for search icon here, instead of saying search document within the search box itself. And you might not be able to see this at a glance, but we've also changed the color of these panels so that their coloring is a little bit more appropriate for the contrast of black text on it. Let me show you what I mean in a live demo. Magic transition. Here, we have WebViewer's Showcase demo loaded up, which you can try for yourself at showcase.apryse.com. Now, a lot of what we just spoke about is relating to contrast ratios within our UI. And the reason why that's important is because of those POUR accessible design principles, POUR. And these contrast ratios, these improved contrast ratios, are part of the perceivable part of that acronym. What this does is it increases the legibility of your UI by having that luminosity ratio between the text, its backdrop, or the icon in its backdrop that makes it so that your UI is more legible for users that are experiencing low vision, color blindness, or other forms of visual impairment. Now, this doesn't just address your accessible audience. In fact, improving contrast ratios and adhering to these design principles is just overall good design and creates for a more pleasing UI visual experience altogether. Moving on from perceivable, the next part of that acronym is operable. And the way that we've addressed this is by enhancing keyboard navigation support. Now I'm just going to use my tab and arrow keys to move around here. And as you can see, we can easily jump between groups, select all the different elements we need. Let's select a new annotation type, squiggly animation, annotation, freehand. It's very easy. And this is going to help those users that have motor impairments. Now, what's interesting about our enhanced keyboard navigation is that we support what's called a logical navigational structure. And what this means is when you click on, let's say, a menu here, let's go to the printout. Let's enable grayscale and comments because why not? When I exit out of this modal, it's going to return me into the position I was in before opening it. This is also known as a breadcrumb trail. So when Jack and Jill go to the witch's house, they drop some breadcrumbs on their way, they're able to follow the path right back to their point of origin, step by step. So if I exit the print menu, it's going to bring me back to the print button, which is exactly how you would expect it to do so if you were a human navigating these spaces. Now that's operable, but how about understandable? For understandable, We've improved our support for screen readers, because to make your digital application understandable, it needs to support assistive technologies to support a wide range of users. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me boot up my screen reader here. Here's the macOS VoiceOver screen reader. So you can see it's announcing that we're in the web viewer demo in Chrome, who I am. When I click on something like the view button, it tells me it's a button. If I enter, let's say, the annotation button here, and I click on one of these tools, it's going to tell me the grouping. Squiggly button is part of a group. It's going to give me these responsive text-to-speech feedback cues, but also it's going to give me some of that additional context as well so that I don't get lost within a digital space. But also it's going to tell me stuff. So if I go in here and I perform a search, I'm going to be very original. I'm going to look for PDFs. It's going to say there's 38 PDF search results that were found. Now this is important because you don't want to navigate through and look for every single search result and get the individual context for each one. You need to have a screen reader support that allows you to understand just how many results were found from an action. So let's turn this off. So that's understandable, but how about robust? Well, WebViewer is already quite robust. In fact, we support all major browsers. We support a wide range of platforms, as I told you at the start of this, and we're continuously developing it. WebViewer will forever be robust, and because of that, we meet the core principles for accessible web development. And the beauty of that is that means that this meets those principles within your application as well, for when you're addressing accessible audiences and you're preparing yourself for the European Accessibility Act in 2025. All right, let's get back to the presentation. For our second release highlight, we have our brand new PDF auto tagging feature. So you might be asking yourself, what is a tag? Automatically, why do I even need to do this to a PDF? Well, don't worry, because I have all the answers for you. Here on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the content of a PDF, and you can also see a tag tree. Previously, people would input these tags manually. They would highlight something like this section header up here, and then they would tag it as H1, or this body paragraph down here, and tag it as a paragraph. With an auto-tagging service, or by integrating one into your own environment, you can automatically tag all of the PDFs in your documents, and you will add structure to them. The structure is important for a PDF because it makes it readable by machines, such as assistive technologies like screen readers. A screen reader, if this were an untagged PDF, might not necessarily understand where text is supposed to start and where it's supposed to stop. Because in PDFs, content just kind of floats freely around the screen. In a tagged PDF, you now have that structure so it understands, okay, this is a section header. All right, this is the body paragraph that is going to likely align with it. These are graphics. And because of that, having a tagged PDF is actually one of the requirements of having a PDF UA or universally accessible file. Now, it's not the only requirement, but it is one of the requirements. So if PDF UA is a compliance standard in your industry, then having an auto-tagging service that is housed entirely within your environment will be to your advantage. Now, I said that it makes it more understandable and digestible to machines. And this isn't just assistive technologies. In fact, if you're trying to extract data from your PDFs, there's no better service for you than an auto-tagger, because it's going to add all the structure that you're going to then use when you extract data from them. So if you're using Apryse's intelligent data extraction module, you'll be able to gather more accurate insights from the data within your PDFs to make better data-driven business decisions. Why should you get a auto-tagging PDF SDK? Well, because we can tag all of your documents at scale. Let's say you have hundreds of thousands of PDFs, you can tag them all. In fact, if you've attempted to manually tag these files yourself, or if you've run them through a different auto-tagging service, we'll be able to correct any of the missing tags that exist in there and have a fully tagged PDF for you to consume. Our third release highlight are improvements to our scanning technologies. This includes a better OCR module, as well as a brand new barcode extraction feature. OCR, also known as optical character recognition, takes a scanned document, and where text appears within that document, it places a machine-encoded layer of text on top of it. This makes that text selectable so that you can copy-paste it or use an extraction tool to get it. Previously, Apryse offered Tesseract 4 and Iris OCR, but since the acquisition of Lead Tools earlier this year, we were able to take their modified version of Tesseract 4 and plug it into the Apryse server SDK. This increased accuracy by 20%, and we saw a measured 6 to 10 times improvement in performance. And because it's a modification of Tesseract 4, there are 0 lines of code that existing OCR customers need to update. We're quite proud of all the programming languages and operating systems that we support, but what's even more impressive is that our OCR module supports hundreds of languages, so that you can ensure that all the accents and characters that are within your document are accurately encoded in that layer of text. Next, we have barcode extraction. And barcode extraction also comes from our acquisition of Lead Tools earlier this year. With this module, you'll be able to extract from hundreds of barcode types and get their encoded information. This includes UPCs, EANs, GS1s, data bar, QR codes, and more. Even if you have a damaged or skewed barcode, our advanced algorithm can still read it. So if you're in logistics, for instance, and you're shipping a package, and that package kind of gets banged around through transit, and it damages the barcode, we will still be able to read that and provide you with accurate extracted information about that tracked shipment. If you work in healthcare and you have patients that have barcodes on their wristbands, it'll be able to still read those even though they're skewed around the wrist of the patient. Barcode extraction is a very exciting technology, and you can make it fit any bespoke barcode workflow. But let's jump into our final feature highlight of the release, which is form creation and digital signature creation, the refreshed experience. So with this, we have a brand new set of icons. So the form fields and digital signature box are more legible. Tool previews when you hover over the canvas with a default size, so you can still drag and drop it, but you can edit that in the properties panel. Widget annotations are now the default. So previously, when you'd place a form on the page, it would be this grayed out box and you'd need to press apply fields to turn it into a interactive widget annotation. You no longer need to do that. We've achieved styling parity across signatures, radio buttons, and checkboxes. And we have moved a couple things to panels, including the previous properties and styling pop-outs, which would hover over the canvas. They now have their own independent panels, which you can modify using our new modular UI. And we have the exciting brand new index panel that allows you to perform batch actions on form fields within your document and rename stuff and reorder it and make sure that you're not missing any form fields when you're navigating through a PDF. But let's dive into a demo. Magic transition. Here, we're back in the WebViewer Showcase demo once again, and we have Form Builder mode opened. In the toolbar, you can see all the different form field types, including digital signatures, the text ones, checkboxes, radio buttons, list boxes, combo boxes, just all the standard stuff that you would expect within a form building application. So let's select the digital signature field. Now this is brand new. When I hover over the canvas here, you can see a preview of what the digital signature box is going to look like. In fact, this is true for all of the different form field types, so you can be confident in the form field that you're placing on the screen. And what's interesting is we have this, we like to call it what you see is what you get, editing style, where you can see a live preview of what's going to appear within your field before you place it. So I have this list box here, and you can see options 1, 2, and 3. Let's go in here and let's edit and say good, better, and best. Now when I hover over the screen again, you can see those 3 options. Now when I place it, it's going to place the default size that you see in that tool preview on the screen, which is fantastic. But you can also drag and drop it if you don't like this preset size. But what's nice about having this preset size that you can place with a single click is, let's say you're using the radio button field here, and you don't want it to be this size. You can just change it to, let's say, width 10, height 10, make it nice and small, and you can simply click, 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 and you're good to go. Now, we've improved styling so that you can go into radio buttons. You can open up this style panel here. And once again, these panels, they used to be pop-outs on the canvas. Now they live in the right and left-hand sides of your screen. I can change the stroke, I can change the fill, I can make them look however I like. Let's make a little bit of color on the screen, make it pop a little bit. Looks very cool. But the real highlight of these panels and of these new editing features isn't just that you can see everything live and it's a really great experience for the user. It's that we have this brand new index panel. And what this index panel does is it allows you to see where all of the forms are placed within your PDF. So here I can see that on page 2 I have 2 list boxes, and on page 3 I have these 4 radio buttons. Now, to make these radio buttons work together, if I were to go into our default viewer mode and I were to click on one of them, if I selected one of them, it wouldn't know that it's part of a group. That if I were to click on one, I couldn't also click on a second one. But with this, we're able to quickly edit this. So let's call it group for posterity reasons. And I'll just double click in, change all those names, and now those radio buttons are part of a group here. If I go into our view mode, if I click on one of them, only one of them can be selected at a single time, which is awesome. Thanks for taking the time to watch our Fall 2024 release webinar. If you'd like, please connect with us at the following LinkedIns. You don't need to have the barcode extraction service in order to scan these, just pull out your phone. We got X, we got Facebook, we got YouTube, we got LinkedIn, good to go. But we're at the end of our time, so let's do some Q&A in the chat here, and please scan this code here to visit our showcase demo, and hey, click on contact sales on our website, talk to someone on our sales team, reach out, always happy to talk to you. Thank you.